I'm David. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I was first introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous at a ripe old age of 14. My mom kept having me arrested, and because I was kind of wild and crazy and drinking too much and doing other things too much, and I always joke around that I was powerless over my mother, and she made my life unmanageable at that time. My sobriety date is January 22nd of 2015. And, it took me 6 years after coming to Alcoholics Anonymous the first time to crawl back into AA, a defeated, broken 20-year-old I was at the time. And, it was... My alcoholism didn't progress slowly. I was 12 when I first picked up, and it was within, probably a month from my first drink that I was a daily drinker, morning, noon, and night, before school, during school, after school, and I was drunk and high all the time. What I found was alcohol was my solution. Alcohol relieved me of a lot of fear, a lot of self-pity, a lot of strange feelings, right? I was just uncomfortable with myself, people around me, and alcohol was a great solution for that. And what I found in the program, the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, is a new plug, right? So when I took alcohol out of my system, going to rehab and coming to Alcoholics Anonymous, I needed to find another solution to take its place. And AA has done that for me. I noticed we had quite a few newcomers, and that's awesome. Welcome to AA and the program, whether you're coming back or just starting out. This is a place that has worked so well for me to recover from a hopeless state of mind and body. I was defeated when I got here. I destroyed relationships with my family. A lot of my friends had passed away, and the ones that didn't really didn't want to be around me anymore. And I wouldn't say that they were great people either. My world just had gotten so small, and within a matter of 3 months of working the 12 steps and applying some of those principles to the best of my ability to my life, I had a spiritual awakening, and God removed the obsession to drink and use drugs within 3 months. I didn't obsess about alcohol anymore. And it doesn't seem like that big of a deal now, a few years down the road, but looking back on it, like 8 years of my life was just consumed with that obsessive thinking. I just couldn't stop. And Alcoholics Anonymous removed that for me. The 12 steps removed that for me, and I couldn't be more grateful. So my alcoholism progressed quickly. By age 14, 15, I kept getting arrested, having problems at home, and I used to sneak out my window every night and meet a friend in my parents' woods and have a bonfire. And we had this yellow lab who just passed away this winter. That I'd have to take her out the window with me because she'd bark. She slept in my bed. She'd bark if I didn't bring her with me. And, it was fun. It was fun back then. And it really helped me cope with life. If it wasn't for alcohol and drugs, I probably wouldn't have lived through those times. That's how my mind was, and that's how dark I was as a teenager. And, by 18, I had progressed even worse, and I was getting in a lot of trouble with not showing up to work. And I stayed home on my dad's farm after high school. I graduated at age 17. I was really good at being a quote-unquote functional alcoholic. I don't really so much believe in that word anymore today, looking back on it, but I was good at showing up to work and acting like everything was okay. 17 when I graduated. I was able to buy a house and kind of, I was set up, and I was really good at making everything look good on the outside, so nobody was going to know what was going on within me, and it helped me get by, for those few years. But by age 18, everybody could see that kind of the walls were closing around me, and I didn't look healthy. Like 205 pounds now, and I think I was like probably $160 back then, and it wasn't good, So at 19, my mom had caught me crawling across her bedroom floor at like 4 a.m. to snag her debit card so I could steal money, and she got me this therapist and started me in outpatient and all that stuff. And within a couple weeks of that, the therapist got me lined up to go to an inpatient rehab where I spent 30 days. And that was a 12-step based program out of Syracuse, New York, Tully Hill, and it was a really good rehab. And they brought people in from the outside to do AA meetings, and it really helped me get connected with people. I mean, that place is like an hour and a half from where I live, but I still have a relationship with a couple guys that came in from the outside, not so much guys I went there with, but people that are, standing members of Alcoholics Anonymous in their community. And I still go up and see one quite frequently, pre-COVID. So, I went to that rehab and got out, and I started attending meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous in my area, and kind of got a little bit addicted to just going to AA meetings all the time, and not doing too much steps 1, 2, 3 all the way through 12. I was not real keen on the idea of God or looking at myself, or going out and making amends with somebody else. I thought that was kind of crazy. But after 6 months of suffering as a result of being an alcoholic in Alcoholics Anonymous without plugging into that solution that I talked about, which is the 12 steps, I relapsed. I stayed sober 6 months, and I picked up a drink. And I would say that those 6 months were probably more miserable as a sober person than I was when I was drinking and drugging, because my mind would just not stop. So a guy, after I relapsed, I went to a meeting, picked up a 24-hour chip, and a guy that I had spent a lot of time with grabbed a hold of me, and he told me, "Hey man, if you don't do this work, you are probably going to die." And no truer words have ever been said to me. So we started meeting every couple of days, and within 3 months, I had started making amends, and my first spiritual experience occurred when I made an amends to my high school sweetheart, and it was awesome. It was awesome to. I felt just so relieved that I was able to go out and make things right with the people that I'd harmed so much over the years. And, Alcoholics Anonymous has taken me for quite a ride. I never thought that I would enjoy sitting down one-on-one with somebody else and taking them through the 12 steps. I know my sponsor told me when I started working with him that you do more for me than I could ever do for you. And it's the same thing that I tell guys that I work with now, because there's just something about that spiritual connection when you sit down and you work on some of this stuff, and you watch people recover, you watch people get well, and you yourself, you feel your spirituality just increase and increase. And my thing in the area that I am, it's pretty rural, and our AA is kind of based on fellowship, and I have a hard time with that because when I tried to do a fellowship-based recovery my first 6 months in AA, I nearly died. You know, I like to stick to the way the program is laid out in our literature, the big book specifically, and I really push the idea that alcohol can be removed from you by God, just like it says in our 10-step promises, if we seek. And my life today looks like when I wake up in the morning at 4 or 5, I open up to page 85 in the big book and I read that, and that's the 10th and 11th step. I read that until the end of that chapter. It's like 3 or 4 pages, and in those pages are directions on how to pray, what to pray for, what to do throughout the day, and I try to apply that to my life every day. Then when I get done with that, I say a couple other prayers, usually for my friends and family and other people in Alcoholics Anonymous, and then I start to meditate. I'll meditate for between 20 minutes and an hour a day. I learned meditation from my second sponsor, and that was about 2 years ago. And meditation has taken me to a whole nother level of happiness and usefulness and peacefulness. At 3 years sober, I kind of slipped away from praying in the morning, and I wasn't doing those readings that I just talked about, and I definitely wasn't meditating. And I ended up in a pretty resentful spot. And our book tells us that resentment is our number one offender. It takes out more alcoholics than anything else. The way resentments were explained to me the first time I went through the 4th step was pretend there's a mirror over your body, your soul, right? And as the sun comes in, it can shine off of that mirror, but each resentment that clouds that mirror, God's sun is not going to be able to shine off of you onto other people. And how true it is, whenever I'm feeling resentful, gets to always gets the shit end of the stick. Anybody around me, I'm just not a good person, not happy, and it creeps into every aspect of my life, not just the one. Let's say I'm resentful at work. I'm going to bring that home with me. I'm going to bring that into the grocery store when there's a little old lady ahead of me that I should be helping, rather than getting angry at. So meditate in the morning, and then I start my day, and I'm able to stay very level-headed and clear throughout the day. When I do have something come up that's hard or frustrating, I'm able to tackle that with ease and peace. Alcoholics Anonymous has granted me that opportunity. Without God and the 12 steps, I wouldn't be able to do that. And so it's probably not 15 or 20 minutes, but I think that's good for me. So I appreciate it, man.